Ryan Gosling's Star Wars character may finally have a name, Cade. But that's not the biggest part of this leak. It's not. Because these reports, if they're accurate, Star Wars Starfighter may involve a Force-sensitive child, a hidden Jedi refuge, lightsaber-wielding hunter, and this new character, Cade, with a leather jacket, goggles, and a mysterious necklace. So tonight we're asking the question, what the hell is Lucas actually building with Starfighter? Now, to be clear, these are rumors and leaks, not confirmed by Lucasfilm, but there's a lot of media out there right now that people are talking about. So Ryan Gosling is rumored to be playing a character named Cade, Flynn Gray, possibly Ronin or Rone, which is pretty cool. So again, there's these really cool things that we're going to talk about tonight. Jedi Refuge or Sanctuary. That's pretty cool. But I think the biggest thing for me is I want to know about this necklace. So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things that are going on. Who is Cade? Why is he protecting this child? What is the necklace? Why would there be hidden Jedi refuge after episode 9? So could Starfighter be quietly showing us what the future of the Force looks like after the Skywalker saga? Welcome to Star Wars Jedi Chat. I'm Ron. That's Derek. That's Mike. Appreciate you guys being here. We're starting off a little bit new, but we got a whole bunch of stuff to get to. So without any further ado, let's get into this.
Hello there.
Hello, friends.
How are you? Derek, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm dog sitting right now for a 11-year-old ginormous bulldog. And so him and Molly are just back here living their lives. So if everything goes awry and my whole setup goes dark or you see everything fall down, I'm okay.
How are you, Mike, after these fun leaks?
You know, I'm doing fantastic. I've been on cloud 9 since, yesterday morning or whenever these leaks came out. I guess nope. I take that back. 3 days ago. Whenever this happened, I've been on cloud 9 since then. This is wild. From what was originally just announced as a jam-packed sort of cast of big-time actors in a movie called Starfighter, where we just thought it would be about, Starfighter pilots. It's now turned into Jedi, lightsaber wielders, force wielders, all over the place. And it really makes no sense, and I love it.
Yeah, it's really crazy. We still, like we talked about with Mandalorian and Grogu, we still don't know what's going on. And hopefully with this trailer coming out in D23, hopefully that's a good leak as well, or a good rumor as well. So hopefully we'll get that and we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. But let's welcome everybody. Darth Plagueis, thanks for being here. Steve, appreciate you always being here. Claire Dune, 50 Thunder. So everybody that's on here, who else? Evie, thank you. 730 Evie. What is Dan Jammin? Thank you. April, Papa Boz. Appreciate you guys jumping on here. Derek, we missed you last week, but we're glad you're here. Nick will be rolling in here in a little while. He had to work late tonight, so he'll be jumping on. So
it feels good to be missed.
So I gotta I can't even put this up yet, but my big thing was like I said, that necklace I think is pretty cool, and we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But what do you think about this name that we have for Ryan now?
It's on par. Cade, Cal, Cad, Kenobi. So we have a lot of those kind of names. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I think
we have we have a Cade already, and he's up there now. So but I like the explanation, and maybe you can say it again, Mike. With some of these Legends characters coming to canon, sort of like Thrawn, maybe not the exact same way, but so hopefully this will turn into somebody. But Mike, if you want to,
I guess people have seen this name Cade come up, and not many Star Wars fans, unless you're a really hardcore read all the Legends material stuff, even know who this character that Ron pulled up is. It's Cade Skywalker, and the fact of the matter is, yes, the last name does mean he's a part of the Skywalker lineage. I guess the confusion is this is Luke Skywalker's great, maybe one more great, but two or three greats, grandchild. So you're talking like 100 years from now, at least. I believe he's born in like 120 ABY or something. So you're talking about a character that's not going to be born for a long, long time, at least in Legends. It's only been 5 minutes into this live stream, but I'm bringing it up. The Acolyte, of course, had the big controversy over Ki-Adi-Mundi's birthday because that was Legends, and then it was a whole deal. Something similar could happen with this character. Do I think Ryan Gosling is playing Cade Skywalker? No. However, could be a canon variation of the character. When you look at the image that Ron put up, and you look at sort of with the one image that we have of Ryan Gosling on the set, it's the same dirty blonde hair. Even the pants actually look the same, which I find very strange. But the fact that it's the same name, the fact that they look very similar, it can't possibly just be a coincidence. However, I still am very much of the mind that this is not a Skywalker. Ryan Gosling is not playing a Skywalker. I think the best parallel here, yeah, right there. I mean, if you were to tell me make a live action version of that first image, this would be what I would give you. Like that's exactly it. So what I think is going on here is the other example in canon right now is Jacen Syndulla, because Jacen is spelled Jacen, and it's the same as Jacen Solo. But Jacen Solo can't exist. Oh, look at this. Ron's ahead of the game here. Jacen Solo can't exist because Jacen Solo is the son of Leia and Han in Legends, and obviously that character does not exist because Ben Solo exists, and to our knowledge, they don't have any other children. So the canon replacement for that character could very well be this little boy in Ahsoka, Jacen Syndulla, now the child instead of Leia and Han, but of Kanan and Hera, which is really cool. So I really hope he goes down a similar path to Legends Jacen Solo, because he turns to the dark side and, it's pretty great. And if Hera Syndulla dies in Ahsoka Season 2 like we think she will, then maybe he might fall to the dark side. But I digress. His name is Jacen, not Solo, Syndulla. So we might be getting Cade, not Skywalker, but something else with Ryan Gosling. Similar concept to its Legends, to their Legend counterparts, but not the exact same. And who wants to see the exact same story be told over again anyway?
Well, and I think Clara Dune had something, which is something that you sort of addressed with Thrawn. With the different, the different timelines and stuff like that, because everybody doesn't come in exactly like Legends into canon. So
this is a great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a great point too, because Darth Talon is very much tied to the exact same comic run as Cade Skywalker. They actually work together for a while. So the idea that a character like Darth Talon could be brought in from Legends to canon and now be an apprentice to Darth Maul, which was not in Legends at all. And she, again, is also 100 years beyond the original trilogy, or even more than that. The idea that Cade Skywalker, or a variation of that, could be brought in just 5 years after the sequel trilogy, and Darth Talon could be brought in as a new canon variation of it as an apprentice to Maul in Devon Izara. It seems like things are, becoming too good to be true. And if that's the case, we are back on the bandwagon of Mia Goth might be playing freaking Darth Talon.
and that's the cool part about this. And I know we're gonna have some controversy no matter what happens when you bring these characters over. I mean, people still say the stuff about even when we bring some characters from the animation to live action, but because they have a different story, not everybody knows about those stories, which I think is fine. And if you do, then my mindset, and I think yours as well, Mike, and I'm sure Derek's is probably, and Nick as well, is we're taking what's in canon now, and I just was looking up a couple new books. I'm definitely going to get the Leia and Rey book and listen to that one, but trying to find some new books that are out there, because they're all canon now. So the more we're getting from these comics and these novels that are coming out, it's just adding to the Star Wars universe. And when you can bring someone like Thrawn, and maybe not the exact Thrawn, but I think they did I love the Thrawn that we have in canon.
Yeah.
And now you can take a Talon and bring her in somehow, bring a Cade in somehow, and make their story that's not too far, off or crazy, but to bring that character in with a look and a possible, sort of swagger, and they're talking about, he's the next Han Solo type of character. So we bring him in and we name him Cade, and we have a cool character now with a little bit different backstory, and now that's in canon. So that's what I like about that.
I agree with you. And the Thrawn is the perfect example and the perfect standard now, because as so many people loved Thrawn from Legends, bringing him to canon is a massive risk, because that Heir to the Empire trilogy is so beloved from Legends. But what they did was they gave us 2 more trilogies with Thrawn in canon, book trilogies, and they brought him into Rebels, and they brought him into live action now. So they've honestly, the canon version of Thrawn is even better than the Legends version. So if Thrawn is the example that's now set, then if they're doing Darth Talon with Devon Izara, if they're going to do Cade Skywalker, but a variation of him with Ryan Gosling, well, then we already have the proven success of what they've already done with Thrawn over the last decade. And it seems pretty great that now Dave Filoni's in charge and Sean Levy's making this movie, when those two are of the age where, you got the original trilogy when you were young, but then for 16 years, you had nothing except for Legends material. Even when the prequels were coming out, you were still getting these Legends books. And those fans, like a Sean Levy, like a Dave Filoni, fell in love with those characters, like Thrawn, like these characters we're talking about today from Legends, and they want to bring those fan favorite or their favorite characters to canon by telling stories with them. So I don't know this for sure. I'm just speculating here, but I think Sean Levy was probably like, I loved that comic run with Cade Skywalker, with Darth Talon, like all that stuff with the Legends run, a legacy run. Let's take aspects of my favorite story from Star Wars and do it in canon, because it hasn't been done yet. And that might not be true, but it's very likely, because Star Wars is always taking from the past. Anybody who's working on Star Wars is, whether it's giving us stop motion scenes in The Mandalorian and Grogu or anything else, they are going back to tell the stories that people already know and love and bringing it into canon, because they're not yet canon.
Yeah. Well, and Jason's another great example. Why would they spell it like that? Okay. They spelled it like that in Legends, or in the expanded universe, however you want to call it. But so spell it Jason instead if you're going to do something different. But I agree. I think that is the canon version.
Yeah, or name him anything else.
Right,
literally any other name in the game. Like, why are you naming Ryan Gosling's character Cade if it's not on purpose?
Yes, exactly. Because not
people
everybody
have the same name. Come on.
In
no,
Star Wars,
Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we're not watching Game of Thrones where everybody's named Aegon.
Well, and that's the thing. It's a Star Wars thing. And even if the normie fans don't know who Cade is or who Jason is, we do. And a lot of the diehard fans do. And that's the part where I think you're not going to throw that out there just because, I'm going to just switch it up. These hardcore fans are good. They're already freaking out about stuff. They're already pissed off about this or that or whatever. So there's no reason for them to just, like you said, give them a different name if it doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Exactly. And
we got to start over. Max just got here.
Oh, wait, my bad.
I'm sorry, Max. Okay, hang on, everybody. Well, instead of that, we'll Max, here you go, buddy.
There you go.
That makes everything better. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, that makes it all. Oh, damn it, Max. I lost my train of thought. Start the stream over. Okay. I honestly have no idea what I was going to say now.
That's all right. But I think those are the cool things with bringing these characters in. And we all have headcanon. So now swallow what you learned in, the expanded universe and take in who Jason is going to be at this point. Maybe he's not going to be Jason Solo. Maybe it's not going to be Cade Skywalker, but it's going to be some part of that, and they're bringing more characters in, in the characters that we liked, and they're not too far off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like you said, you take a picture of Cade in that comic book and say, okay, make a live action version of him. All right, there we go. There's Ryan Gosling.
Well,
I do remember my thought now.
No, go, run.
Before I forget. It's Lucasfilm's goal, like we talk about all the time, to please everybody. And to please everybody, like you were just saying, Ron, with a character like Thrawn, he's the heir to the Empire, and he's this badass who comes in Ahsoka and comes in Rebels, that if you've never read the comics, if you've never read the books, if you've never read Legends, he's brand new to you, but he's still awesome. Like anybody who's watched Rebels or watched Ahsoka knows that Thrawn is badass and cool. So it pleased the Legends fans, it pleased all these other fans, and pleased the new fans as well. So you can tell a great story with Ryan Gosling as the face of the character, and for new fans to this idea of Cade, it's still going to be badass, and you please the Legends fans because you're bringing over one of their favorite characters into canon. So there's never going to be an ideal world where Lucasfilm makes a project that everybody agrees on, but the idea is to please as many people as you possibly can, and this does that. It pleases the Legends fans, and it pleases the new fans.
Yeah, and I think it's really great, like, if that's the direction they take with this, because, you know, he was a bounty hunter, and he was a Jedi Padawan.
Yeah.
So, like, that could explain some lightsaber stuff.
Yeah,
it could make a really deep story. And again, like you guys have both said, it doesn't have to be the exact story that we know in the comic books, but if they took like the inspiration, it'd be really cool. They've already got a good story base there.
Yeah. And the idea of him wielding a lightsaber too, because to our knowledge, we've learned from these leaks that Ryan Gosling is playing a sort of washed up pilot, a smuggler type, pirate type, rogue type, Han Solo type. The idea that he's also related to Amy Adams' character, who we know from the leaks is a Force wielder. At least in Star Wars, for the Skywalker bloodline, at least, the Force, at least in the bloodline, works where Leia has it, Luke has it, their parents have it, their grandchildren have it. Everybody has it. So if Amy Adams has it, if her son has it, then you kind of would assume that
her husband had it.
Well, we don't know that unless it's Luke Skywalker. You could assume that Ryan Gosling has it as well. And I do like the idea because Cade Skywalker, the Legends character, I feel like I'm talking about the same person right now, but in Legends, his story is he was raised as a Jedi. And then he was like, nah, I'm good, and leaves. And that's when he becomes a sort of a pirate type character. So he was trained as a Jedi, and then he leaves to do other things. He doesn't want to be a part of this Jedi and Sith conflict in the galaxy. So he ends up involved anyway, but that's besides the point. He does leave the Order. So my idea here would be if he and Amy Adams are brother and sister, well, then what if Luke Skywalker, let's say, finds the two of them, brings them to his Jedi temple, starts to train them, and then Cade Skywalker, just as he did in Legends, says, nah, I'm good, and leaves. But Amy Adams stays and maybe has a child with Luke Skywalker, and then
bing bong,
and then everybody's happy. But it would also explain why the son doesn't know about Cade, because they've never met before. And it would explain why Cade Skywalker, this Cade, Ryan Gosling's Cade, is, to our knowledge, not a Force user because he would have left the Order at some point. That's, I guess, my hopeful theory. Amy Adams is Mara Jade. The two of them got brought into Luke's Jedi Temple at the same time. Cade said, no, I'm good. She stayed. Her and Luke have a love thing, have a baby. Maybe Mara thinks Luke dies when Kylo destroys the temple or something. Like, for some reason, they split up. And then
maybe they just split up, and I mean, I would go into isolation like Luke did if I lost Amy Adams for sure. I mean, wow.
It would help. It would help the story for sure. If Luke has a love interest and a child too with that love interest, it will very much help the Luke Skywalker that we see in The Last Jedi and explaining that.
Of course it will. And it'll make him like less, dare I say, lame in those movies. Like it would.
Well, it would be a really cool concept if both Luke thinks Mara dies and Mara thinks Luke dies. So the two of them think that they're gone. Like the idea that in The Last Jedi or in The Force Awakens, when Rey brings the lightsaber to Luke, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, there's a stone there that looks like a gravestone." The idea that maybe Luke has a gravestone towards Mara because he thinks she's dead, like that would be a cool concept. Like both of them think that each other are dead.
Yeah. My thing is with Cade, we already know that well, I guess we're assuming, maybe we don't know that he's a pilot, and at least that's what the leaks are.
Yeah,
so
the leaks say he is.
And what side was he on, and what has he done? Because obviously he's probably, for lack of better words, a washed up pilot. Even when in that picture I just had, it's obviously he's a little beat up. So something was going on. He got into a fight somehow, or whether it was protecting the kid or whatever else is going on, because he's sitting around at a bar getting drunk, and the typical movie guy that we see. And I think that'll be a cool little plot as we go along, because he's definitely going to have a story, and we're going to get, I would assume, some sort of flashback, maybe if it's a blurry something, or something like that in a dream or things like that. Especially when I hear them talk about how he is maybe regretful or whatever's going on, I'm expecting to have some sort of flashback in a dream, when people are have PTSD in reference to an explosion or something horrible going on in their life, and they wake up, just like Anakin did with his mother and with Padme and stuff like that. So that's what I'm expecting to go back to. So we'll get a little bit more of that backstory, and Amy Adams could be in that backstory,
maybe Palpatine convinced Luke that he killed Mara Jade, and that's why he went in isolation and closed himself off from the Force. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. Like, we know Palpatine came back. We know he does stuff like this. If he thought that he killed his wife, that would fix a lot in those movies.
Yeah, it would certainly help. Like, any of this would help for sure. For me personally, at least, Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. But having said that too, you got to assume that, like, Amy Adams and Ryan Gosling's characters, they have a bond. They have a connection through the Force, at least if Amy Adams is a Force user. So if she's really going to die early on in this film, then you kind of got to assume that Ryan Gosling would sense that or feel that, sort of, like Leia senses Luke die and all that. But I was going to say the cantina thing. Yeah. So he's compared to Han Solo, but what I think is really going on here, like when you meet Han Solo in the cantina in episode 4, he's like, really cool. I think what's going to happen with Ryan Gosling is, yes, he's going to be a cool character, but when you first meet him, I think Ron was right. He's going to be like getting drunk at this bar. Like, he's going to be this washed up, really, really beat up guy. And that's when Flynn Gray's going to find him and be like, do I really need this guy? Like, their relationship's going to be really cool, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I like that, because we have a similar relationship when we in the Kenobi series with Leia, and at first, she doesn't believe who he is, and she's making fun of him and this and that, but then all of a sudden she realizes, okay, maybe he's not as old and useless as I think he is, and then obviously at the end they form this bond, which was awesome. So I think you're right. I think that's going to be something very similar to that, where it's going to be a little, back and forth banter or whatever it is. And then eventually something's going to happen where he saves his life, or something like that goes on, where now we get into the thick of it. And, I got to take you to this new temple or whatever else is going on. But I also want to say, I think that's a good idea. Sorry, that when you're talking about, them possibly being, we're assuming that they're brother and sister, and he has this necklace, and that's the one thing that I'm really interested to see what that is. Is it a Jen Erso necklace? Is it a kyber crystal? It's almost too obvious to me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that stinks, because I would love it to be a kyber crystal, and for his sister or his mother, maybe she was Force sensitive or whatever the case may be. but I think it's almost too obvious that it's going to be a kyber crystal, and maybe it's something else, some other type of necklace.
Maybe it's
with
whittled out of the
medallion.
same thing that Anakin did. What if it's something like that?
Per snippet, whatever.
Yeah, what if it's the exact same one that Anakin made for Padme, and somehow he has it, and we're like, why does he have that?
That'd be so dope. I mean, they
That'd be
buried
so
her with
crazy.
it, but we don't know. We don't know.
Maybe he found the body.
She's back.
Padme's back. From the dead.
Padme's back.
You bring up a great point, though. Like, why would the leaks focus in on this necklace? And kyber crystal would be way too obvious. But the only other, I guess, similar thing would be Rose's necklace in The Last Jedi, which is from her sister.
Right.
So maybe it's something to do with Amy Adams and Ryan Gosling's relationship. Maybe it has something to do with something completely different, and we just don't know. I don't know. Like, what could be on the end of that necklace?
I don't know. 50 Thunder said, "Hope Starfighter isn't just Top Gun in space." I hope it is.
I thought that's what it would be, though, when it got announced, and now it's like lightsabers, and I was not expecting that in the slightest.
Yeah. All right, Nick, don't get a speeding ticket on the way home. We're all right. He said somehow Padme returned.
There we go. I will say, though, this Jedi Temple thing is really, really crazy. Did not expect this at all, and it really doesn't sound like Rey's Jedi Temple. It does not. As much as it, like, I guess it doesn't sound like it because these leaks are saying that this temple's likely to be either destroyed or at least not going to go too well at the Jedi Temple. But we learned of this new planet named Adaria. Maybe that's how we pronounce it. We don't know yet. But Adaria. And from the description, at least, it does look a lot like this image. And the image that Ron pulled up is actually concept art image from Duel of the Fates, which was the episode 9, Colin Trevorrow's episode 9 that got scrapped and turned into Rise of Skywalker. So this is the concept art image for Rey's Jedi Temple for the Duel of the Fates. Now look at that and listen to this. Listen to this description of this. This Jedi Temple / refugee planet on Adaria is green and lush. Okay. East Asian inspired. Sure. Full of greenery and fountains. Don't see many fountains, but yes. Has tiki-style huts. I'd say those are kind of tiki-style. And the set has large mechanical struts, possibly for landing gear. That might be somewhere else. And then the other description was... wait. There's another piece to it, too. Where was this? Either way, it does sound very similar to what we're looking at here with this concept art image. The only reason I don't think it's Rey's Jedi Temple is because the leak also says that we're going to see Aaron Pierre versus Mia Goth with a lightsaber duel, which is just really cool. But Mia Goth is going to come out on top, and it says the Jedi Sanctuary on yes, appears in the second act and is followed up by our heroes being captured by Mia Goth. So this fight is not going to go well. It's not going to end well. And Ryan Gosling and Flynn Gray are going to be captured by this girl. Now, first and foremost, that makes Mia Goth way more powerful than I thought she'd be. If she's taken down Jedi, if she's taken down Aaron Pierre, that's pretty wild. But it also begs the question, who the hell are these Jedi? Where did this Jedi Temple come from? We are 5 years removed from the Rise of Skywalker, from the sequel trilogy. Where did all this come from?
Yeah. Well, and that's going to be the cool thing, and I like your idea in reference to this. I think this was some sort of concept art, and now at this point, they're like, "Hey, listen, we need to have some sort of temple here. Let's use this one, and if Rey has one, it's somewhere else, similar, but not like this." So I like that, where they're bringing that, and maybe they're using something else, and maybe we see this at the end if Rey does come in at the end, and there's a different one. But I also like your thought on this type of planet when they're talking about, when Sean Levy's talking about Tom Cruise coming in and filming this, lightsaber duel. They're in swampy, muddy water, and it looks like if it rains in this place here, it's going to be swampy and muddy, and you're going to have a bunch of cool scenes from that. So this could definitely possibly be something like that.
Oh, I found the other piece to it. It's the Jedi on Adaria look like Padawans. They wear beige-style tunics similar to Obi-Wan and young Anakin at the end of The Phantom Menace. And if you look at this concept art image, it's Rey, BB-8, and all young-looking Padawans. So, I mean, they use concept art images all the time. They're still using Ralph McQuarrie concept art images to make Star Wars content today, but it's not out of the realm of what they usually do to take old concept art and turn it into something real.
See where I got that picture.
Oh, that's a handsome fellow right there.
Dark.
Yeah. And then me right next to him. Yeah, Darth Vader. But the idea that, yes, Tom Cruise came in and filmed a lightsaber duel is one thing, but when you have Aaron Pierre versus Mia Goth and Mia Goth wins and then steals or captures our hero characters, that sounds awesome. Like, this came out of left field. I did not see this coming at all. And I guess the idea that this could be Rey's Jedi Temple still, and she's just not there when this happens, could be possible. And then she comes back to find that this chaotic event happened, and then she has to go find and save Ryan Gosling and Flynn Gray. That would be pretty cool too. But it also begs the question, because if Amy Adams is Mara Jade, which we all hope she will be, even if she's not, where did she learn the Force? Where did she get this ability? Where did Aaron Pierre learn the Force? Where did he get this ability? Like, where did these people come from? There's only a few options. Either a surviving Order 66 member trained them because they're way too young to be Order 66 survivors, or they're from Luke's Jedi Temple. Because we've never really found out if there was any survivors from Luke's Jedi Temple. And it could very well be that these two, Aaron Pierre and Amy Adams, were off-world when Kylo killed everybody. They came back to the wreckage to see that everybody was dead, and then they went and built their own Jedi Temple because they didn't know what else to do. So while the sequel trilogy events are happening, these survivors of Luke's Jedi Temple massacre are off doing their own thing somewhere in the Outer Rim or the unknown regions, completely oblivious to what's going on with Palpatine and the First Order and all that other stuff, because they just saw what they were working on with Luke in that Jedi Temple completely destroyed. So they were like, let's start again. And that could be what we're looking at here, not Rey's Jedi Temple.
Right. Well, and I think that's the problem sometimes, that people forget that this is a huge galaxy. And now they've even made it bigger. Okay. Now we got a different galaxy. We're in Peridia. So we got stuff going on over there, and then we got stuff going up on the other side of this galaxy. So not everything is going to coexist all at the same time. Hey, we got a battle over here. Well, I'm busy over here doing this in this part of the galaxy and have no idea what's going on. So it's going to be interesting to see what this, and I, like I said at the beginning, once this trailer comes out, that's going to be a big telltale of a lot of these things that I think we're going to have an answer for. But I also think that they're going to do a lot of that, trailer editing like they did with Mandalorian and Grogu to throw us off on a few things as well. But but I think now that we have seen that so many times and stuff coming like that, we're going to be able to pick apart at least some of it and know, oh, okay, they just added some of those words here or there as we continue to get more and more trailers. Not the first trailer, but as we get a few more going on and maybe some more leaks, we'll be able to sort of pick apart some of these things a little bit. Yeah.
And the perfect example of what you were talking about with sort of there can be more happening in the galaxy at the same time as the sequels is Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars Season 7. Well, Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting it out on Mustafar, or before that, I guess, going and saving the Chancellor and dealing with all the events of Revenge of the Sith. Ahsoka's going to the Siege of Mandalore and fighting Maul. Like, those two stories are both at the same time, but when you watch the movie in 2005, you have no idea that that's going on. Now in 2026 you do, but at the time you didn't. So the sequel trilogy, the events of 7, 8, and 9 were happening from 2015 to 2019, but who knows? In a couple of years, there might be an entirely different story happening at the same time with characters like all the Mandoverse ones: Grogu, Din Djarin, Ezra, Sabine, Hera, Jason, Cal Kestis, Ryan Gosling's character, Flynn Gray's character, Amy Adams' character. None of those people I just listed off are in the sequels. Never once. So what are they doing? That's the question. It's like, what was Ahsoka doing during Revenge of the Sith? how could she possibly be there if she wasn't involved with the prequel trilogy movies? Oh, she was fighting Maul on Mandalore. Like, that's crazy.
Right. And we at that time when that movie came out, Ahsoka didn't exist at all, so we didn't know who she was, and we didn't know that Maul was alive because they didn't know Maul was alive, like, at that point. So yeah, you're right. All this stuff's happening. Things get changed. Like, who could come back? Mace Windu. That'd be kind of cool. Whoa. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's other characters that could come back.
Yeah.
You never know. I don't think we're gonna get Mace Windu to come back. I would love it. And definitely not in this movie, be way too old. But I do wonder, are there some characters that were mic'd that could be unmiked?
Well, I agree with you. Maul, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, him being unmiked was great because, you know, we got so much more story with him. And now we're getting Maul Shadow Lord. Like, we just got that this year, 27 years after he got sliced in half. But we also recently had Palpatine return, and that was not met with the same enthusiasm, I'd say, from Star Wars fans.
Man, I was really excited that he was back, but not how it happened and how it played out. Yeah, how the execution. That's probably the best word. Because I love Palpatine. I love him.
It only makes sense if you're going to make 9 movies, 3 trilogies called the Skywalker saga, that Palpatine's the through and through villain of the entire thing. Because in my headcanon, at least, he's the one who created Anakin, or at least maybe not unknowingly with Plagueis. But either way, he's the reason that Anakin was created by the Force. And then he grooms Anakin throughout his whole life. He tries to turn Luke. He comes back and tries to turn Rey, and obviously Ben Solo does succeed in turning Ben Solo, another Skywalker. So as much as it's the Skywalker saga, it's really like the Skywalker and Palpatine saga. And it would feel weird if he wasn't involved with the sequels. But to your point, wasn't executed well.
Right.
Can that be changed with other stuff? Yes, absolutely. We just talked about how the Clone Wars changes the events of the prequels, or how Rogue One changes the events of the original trilogy. It doesn't change what happened, it just elevates it more and explains the story more. Like the Bad Batch is already explaining Project Necromancer all the way back in the prequel era, or the Mandalorian is mentioning Project Necromancer in the post originals. So there's plenty of room for improvement, I suppose.
Well, and that also brings up, like, you know, I say this all the time. Ron got me hooked on the Certain Point of View books, and you look at that, and perception is a huge part of this. So it's like, oh, well, we saw this in the movie, but then we have the books that have come out that are still canon, and it's like, oh, well, that's not how we saw it in the movie necessarily, but that's how it was perceived by this person. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, and I think that's the part where sometimes people forget again is bringing these characters in and having something going on somewhere else. And some of these people don't understand, like you said, it's from a certain point of view. We have different points of view on everything. We have Order 66, all the different points of view that we have from Order 66. It's so cool to see. And everybody has a different vision of what's going on. And then, like Mike, you were talking about, Clone Wars fills in that gap, but it also makes Darth Vader a person. We see him in the prequels, yes, but when Clone Wars, we see him, he's a good guy in the Clone Wars. Yeah. You know, so everybody has feelings for him. We see, okay, he did this, but we see what he goes through. We grow attached to this evil, you know, villain that we've known for so long, and it makes him more real. It makes him almost like, oh, okay, I understand now why you're doing this. And those are the cool things that are able to fill in the gaps for these things. And I think we'll still continue to get more of that as we go along, especially for these leaks that we're getting now. You know, I do, while we're talking about that, I do want to flip over to, we do have a new character as well.
Yes.
Who hits 600. She looks pretty good for 650 years old.
I actually think she's gonna be alien. I don't even think she'll look like that.
No, I
Maybe
think
she
you're right.
does, but maybe she's like a humanoid alien type. Maybe her face is just blue or something. But yeah, that it is really cool. Having her be 650 years old is clearly on purpose. Like, why make her that old for no reason? That doesn't make much sense.
Maybe she's a puppet. Maybe she's like Yoda.
Possibly. Or
Mm.
Jabba the Hutt.
Be a Maz Kanata.
There-
But yeah, I think
Oh,
it's cool
we need
that.
more Maz.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that she could answer so many questions. We could all just sit around and and
Yeah.
talk to Maz and just throw 1,000 questions at her, and she should be able to answer them. But I think that's cool also that I think you said yesterday that's Ryan Gosling's actual wife as well.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. And obviously I'm guessing, and I think you mentioned it as well, they're going into a cantina. That's where Finn's going to find his uncle. And I'm sure she's gonna, and that's what her, at least the leaks say her character is the cantina owner or manager or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see that. But she's not a nobody. You know,
No.
I mean, she's been in lots of shows, movies,
yeah.
TV. People know who she is. So
Yeah,
that's another big name that's in this movie now.
absolutely. And I don't think she's gonna have like the biggest role in the world, but
No.
she'll have a purpose for being there, obviously.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it is, but yes.
Right. Well, and that's just it. She will have a purpose. There's something there that she is going to bring to this movie that even if we don't figure it out during the movie, it's at some point we will. And that's the thing that I love about Dave's vision now is he does the slow reveal. And I think that's what's cool about this stuff. And somebody brought it up earlier with the Grisk, you know, or the Vong. You know, I think that could be brought in, you know, possibly in Ahsoka, definitely in Dave's movies, you know, because you're going to need a little bit more time to start to bring these characters to this universe that people don't know about. You're going to have to give them their backstory so that people understand, oh, there's no more Sith, but now we have these are the new bad guys.
Yeah. And that is a weird part too, because Mia Goth is being described as this lightsaber wielding force wielder who's trying to hunt down this Flynn Gray character, possibly to make him her apprentice. But we don't know why, and we don't know where she came from either. So if we're trying to explain where these Jedi are coming from, well, we got to explain where she comes from too. And I do like the concept of bringing it in the Grisk, but this does not sound like that at all with Mia Goth, at least.
No, yeah, I don't, not yet for sure. But that's the cool thing. Like you just said, we'll find out about her, and that's how we found out about Maz Kanata. You have Finn throw out I think it was Finn or somebody throw out a question or this or that, and all of a sudden she talks about how she's 1,000 years old, or you know, how'd she get, you know, where'd that Luke Skywalker's, you know, lightsaber come from? That's a time for a story for another time. So we're learning things about her in 2 seconds. We've already learned who she is, a lot of who she is in those 2 seconds. So that you're going to have the same type of thing, I think, with her, it being, you know, maybe an acquaintance of Ryan Gosling's from the past, maybe a former lover, something like that, where, you know, Eva's going to be there and we're going to see her and she's going to have some sort of backstory with him.
Well, she's hot too. Like, just put her in Star Wars. She's hot. Star Wars needs more hot.
Derek's 2 cents is just hot.
She's hot.
I wanted to go back to something Ron was talking about, because you said all these different perspectives of Order 66, and I love all of them. It's great getting more and more and more. But to that point, there's a second sort of smaller version of Order 66 with Kylo Ren killing all the Jedi at Luke's Jedi Temple in one fell swoop that we've only seen one perspective of. And honestly, it wasn't even much. Like, it was Luke, and Luke was like, when I woke up, everything was already destroyed. And that's all we got. So I want more variations of that. Like we've seen what Grogu went through, we've seen what Cal Kestis went through, we've seen what Kanan Jarrus went through, we've seen all these different characters versions of Order 66. I want to see like Amy Adams or Aaron Pierre or one of these other Jedi in this movie, their perspective of Kylo Ren's Order 66 or Kylo Ren's destruction of Luke's Jedi Temple.
Because Aaron Pierre could be right around the same age as Kylo, correct? Or even in the same, that they could both have gone to the Jedi, academy with Luke, or his Jedi Temple. They could have trained there together, which would be amazing. And that's another thing where we could see, sort of like I was talking about with Ryan Gosling's character, where he might have some nightmares that we might see, where you would have Aaron Pierre's character have some sort of step back or a nightmare in reference to what we could see a different perspective of what happened at Luke's Jedi Temple, and he was able to somehow get away, which would be freaking awesome.
Interestingly enough, Aaron Pierre, and I don't know, hang on, how old is Kylo Ren in The Rise of Skywalker? Wow, okay, so Kylo Ren is approximately 30 to 31 years old during the events of the sequel trilogy. So 5 years after, he would obviously have been 35 to 36. And right now, Aaron Pierre is 32. So yeah, they'd probably be around the same age. And Daisy Ridley, maybe Rey was younger, but look, Daisy Ridley's 34 right now. Let's see if her character is the same. Oh, no, her character's way younger. So Rey was only 20 in The Rise of Skywalker. So Rey's only going to be 25 if she shows up in this movie. So she'll be even younger than Aaron Pierre. She'll be even younger than Amy Adams. She'll be, although she may be starting her own Jedi Temple, she won't be the elder in the galaxy. There'll still be people using the Force that are way older than her.
Right. Well, and like I said earlier, with the galaxy as big as it is, you don't know where all the Jedi are or all the Jedi went to. So this could be a temple that maybe Aaron started afterwards, but you still have Rey's somewhere in the other side of the galaxy that really nobody knows about, because the Jedi and Sith are sort of, going by the wayside at this point. We only have Rey as a Jedi as far as we know. At the end of that, Palpatine's gone now, so we don't have Sith. So that's why we're bringing in, Mia Goth and Matt Smith to be the bad guys. And I think we're going to still learn along the way that people have powers, and whether they're going to be good or bad.
And I feel like we've been talking about this for years now, but Nick specifically always brings it up that, there's probably other Jedi temples around, like hidden away, stowed away. Why wouldn't there be? Because after the Jedi Temple falls, you're seeing now, with even Bale Skull being the prime example, people going off and doing their own thing. Bale Skull's not a Sith, but he's not a Jedi either, and he has a Padawan. You're seeing like all these other people with Padawans. Asajj Ventress is not a Jedi, but she's got her own Padawan too now. Ahsoka Tano, she's no Jedi, but now she's got Sabine. Like there's all these different groups, I guess master and apprentices, but if they became Jedi temples or had more to them, then there's probably a handful of those all across the galaxy, in theory, but probably hidden away. And then you have Cal Kestis on Tanalorr, which is a hidden planet too. So things can be hidden away in the galaxy, that's for sure.
Well, and what's your thoughts? So if we have, and we don't know whether Matt Smith has powers or not, or is Force sensitive, and it sounds like Mia Goth is going to have some sort of force powers or Force sensitive. It could be cool if they start that rule of two again, in this, sort of like Kylo was, he wanted to be like his grandfather. He wanted to keep, that dark side going. I think that could be sort of cool where, if Matt Smith is this warlord and he's been around for a while, or he knows some of these legends that go on, he's like, you know what? I think we need to bring that back. And I'm the master, but I'm going to have, Mia Goth is my apprentice, and she's going to go out and do my bidding. And obviously she's powerful enough to take down a Jedi and whoever else is there. It sounds like it's going to be Aaron along with Ryan and Finn Gray. So they could all be getting captured by her. So obviously she's powerful enough. And there are if they get captured by her, the three of them, are they going to be able to conjure up something to get away, or does somebody come and save them?
Yeah.
And now we got a fourth person that's in this movie that's on their side or in that little gang of people.
Well, that person would be, in theory, Rey, because like I've been talking about this for weeks now, and people don't want to hear it. But Rey's going to be involved in this post-sequel stuff, regardless. They just don't like the character. Why not give us the heroes get captured, and Rey gives us a Luke Skywalker and Mando season 2, come in, save the day, and rescue everybody. Like, you want Rey to be a great character, then give her great moments. Like, that would be awesome if she.
That is awesome. Yeah. That's an awesome scenario to have that. Go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say, Papa Boz says, I don't love there being all these hidden Jedi temples around, and none of them showed up to help Rey in the sequels. And Max Rebo said, I agree with Papa Boz. Real Jedi don't let other people take out the trash. They are not real Jedi by the old standards.
Yeah, we don't really know what their way of following the Jedi Order is. Because, well, the first piece of evidence would be Amy Adams has a child, and the Jedi would not accept that. So we don't know what's going on with these Jedi, whether they are following any sort of Jedi way or not. Maybe they think the galaxy is just in ruin, and there's no, like, they wouldn't even know about Rey. Rey didn't even know about Rey. She lived on a freaking desert planet as a scavenger. So I don't think they would have any knowledge of what's going on in the rest of the galaxy. So
and they can't sense it because Palpatine's back.
Also true. Ron said the whole rule of 2 thing coming back. I think actually it's going to go the opposite way, where Palpatine's going to be like the end of the rule of 2, as he claimed he was all the Sith. And it may not even be called Sith anymore, or maybe it will, I don't know. But you're just going to have different groups of Force users just fighting each other. Like, I don't think Mia Goth is going to be coming out with a red lightsaber and claiming to be a Sith. Maybe she has a red lightsaber, but I don't think she's going to claim to be a Sith. And again, Matt Smith is still a mystery, whether he's Force sensitive or not, if he's her master or not, which I don't think he is, but only time will tell. But if she's just a solo Force user that's evil, then what's her deal? Where did she come from?
I mean, I think it'd be really cool to have a scene where you see somebody like kneeling on the floor, and then you see a Sith holocron.
Yeah.
And then
that's where she learns.
Yes, and it pans out. I mean, that's what Darth Bane did.
Yep.
Darth Bane didn't have a master. Well, he did at one point, but you know what I mean? Like, he really learned everything he needed to learn on his own.
Well, yes, and the idea that she could be, again, Devanai Zara, just older, and at one point she was trained by Maul, and then she leaves Maul, and now is by herself, and then has to train through a Sith holocron of some sort. Like, the idea that in Legends, Darth Krayt, he is a Jedi named Asherad Het, who is a Tusken Jedi. He actually, after the Order 66 happens, he goes back to Tatooine, becomes a Tusken Raider with a lightsaber, and they start just killing moisture farmers. And then when he comes to fight Uncle Owen, Obi-Wan obviously protects Luke, and they have a fight, and then whatever. When he loses to Obi-Wan, he has to leave the planet in disgrace. He goes off to Korriban or Moraban, whatever you want to call it. One's Legends, one's canon. And he does the exact same thing. Like Derek just said, he finds these Sith holocrons. He doesn't have a master to learn from. He just learns through those ancient texts / holocrons, and learns through the ways of the Force. Because there's a really cool concept in Star Wars that we don't get enough of, and that is that the certain planets themselves are strong in the dark side of the Force or the light side of the Force, like Dagobah or Korriban or Exegol. Like, we don't get enough of that, and maybe this Adaria planet might be one of those planets, but it's more on the light side of the Force.
Well, I think that's a good point, but I also think that you're probably right, because it is more of a lighter side. We get to see, the green and the blue skies and things like that. Where when we see Vader's castle on Mustafar, it's dark. Yeah. When we're on Dathomir, it's dark on Dathomir as well. So I think that this is more of a lighter planet if this comes to fruition, and this is the Jedi Temple. we're going to have a little bit more of that. Yeah, Dagobah is a little bit dark, but it had so much life on it. I think that was the big draw for the Force on Dagobah, is you have all of these creatures, and again, the Force surrounds everything. So if you have all of these living creatures around there, that can also be, you know, a good Force draw. But yeah, that would be pretty amazing if you know, if somebody was sitting down, or she was sitting down, and she holds that holocron up, and it just floats up and starts to.
Well, it's like Ezra in Rebels when he's manipulated by the Sith holocron, and Kanan just got blinded, so he's not dealing with him, and he's like turning to the dark side. I like that concept too, because on the one hand, you have Rey starting her Jedi Temple with the sacred texts, the old Jedi texts, and then on the other hand, you could have this girl, Mia Goth's character, having the ancient Sith ways through holocrons and maybe some ancient texts as well. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, and I like what you're saying about Rey, because I do. I want her to be a cool character. I want to see, she has so much potential. And I think coming in like that, I don't think it would be a play off of season 2 of Luke coming in. I think she could have her own, you know, come in, great moment. You know, hopefully don't overdo it. Don't, you know, just a perfect moment for her, and take her from, you know, even people like me, but so many people that don't like that character. I did not like her. It just, I was hoping for more. But anyways, I think if she comes in like that and has a saving moment where, like, you know, whether this is act 1 or act 2 or whatever it is, when the good guys get captured, and now, you know, she comes in, you know, just kicking ass, taking names, and helps these guys get out of this, and then we go on to something, you know, bigger and better, or maybe that's when Matt Smith steps in, and we see, you know, what that now we have a worse bad guy. But yeah, I think that if we could get Rey in there to have a really cool scene like that, where it shows her powers off, because now she's still been training for 5 more years after she trained with Leia. She's been, you know, how or whatever, she's been doing something obviously for the last 5 years, and that would be cool to bring her back. And I think a lot of people would, you know, sort of be like, okay, cool, now we got a cool Rey. Now we just got a few more questions to answer. Sequels.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be met with backlash regardless, just because Rey, like anything that Rey's gonna be involved in, is going to be met with backlash. But the concept of having a movie that's going to be so good, with a loaded cast, with this brand new story beyond the sequel trilogy, that's like undeniably good. Like, that's the difference. When people start talking crap about something like Rogue One or Andor or The Mandalorian, something that's so good that it just sounds wrong to sort of crap on, that's when you know they've succeeded. For example, if Starfighter is so good that it's of the level of Andor or Rogue One, and people can't say, "Oh, this sucks," without looking dumb, then even if Rey shows up or doesn't show up, but let's say she does, and people start complaining just because she's in the movie, then they'll still look dumb. So the best possibility for Rey is to not have a Rey movie. It's to show up in this and have something so badass that it's undeniably good. And if you start to deny it, you just look stupid.
Yeah.
Speaking of stupid, Nick, how's it going?
Oh, that was brutal. I deserved it.
Better late than never.
That's
Start the
right.
stream over. Start the stream over.
No, I'm
Run it back.
No,
We'll do it live.
We're doing it live.
How we doing, boys?
Good. How are
Better
you?
now that you're here, buddy.
Good.
We figured out the entire plot of Star Wars Starfighter.
Wow.
That's right.
Already?
Yeah, and it's gonna make $3 billion.
Weekend 1.
I said doll hairs.
Yeah.
Doll hairs.
3 billion yen.
What is that?
So obviously you were listening.
The Mandalorian and Grogu's already made 3 billion yet.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. So some cool leaks that we've been talking about with what's going on with Starfighter. So what I'm gonna throw you right in the pit. What's your thoughts? I know you were listening, and I know you were chomping at the bit to like say something. I'm sure I always am on Mike's podcast. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw something in, but I can't wait till tomorrow so we can all talk about it.
Yeah, driving through a thunderstorm was not the best time to do that. But so I heard some of what you guys were saying, and I watched. I don't know if you guys said it already. Mike has a great summary of the leaks on YouTube. What have you talked about? Where do you want me to jump in on?
Well, I actually want to know your take on this new Jedi Temple. Specifically, is it Rey's? Is it not Rey's? Where, like, Aaron Pierre is going to be playing a Jedi now with a lightsaber. Amy Adams, you assume, is probably from the same Jedi Temple, and that's why they're going back to it. Like, if she's dying, she's sending Flynn Gray to go get to Ryan Gosling's character so that he can bring him back to this safe place, which is the Jedi Temple. So you assume that she's from there. So if Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre are from this Jedi Temple, where did they come from? And specifically, not just them, but also Mia Goth. She's a bad guy with a lightsaber, with the Force. Where did she come from? I want all the answers.
Well, you asked the right guy. I'm just kidding. Because we frequently are spot on with our predictions. So
always 100%.
So I guess when I first read the leaks and then watched your video, I'm just going to say this so I can say it once and be done. There's a world where that's pretty accurate, and there's a world where where it's not accurate, right? Yeah. We won't know probably till we watch the movie. So I'm leaning towards them being accurate because it sounds cool, right? Yes. You guys know my thoughts about the idea of like different Jedi-ish groups existing in this time frame. To me, it either makes the most sense, like I heard you guys talking earlier, that the older characters who are Jedi adjacent are either like former Luke folks, which we've speculated on because of the line drop from Luke in, I believe, The Last Jedi. Or it could be the thing that I'm into that I've said on here a bunch, that like these different groups could have just been doing their own thing. And part of like eventually in this new trilogy, Rey's job could be to sort of like try to unite them or discover them and tell them like, hey, everything's good, but they might not be into her or her way of doing things. Some of them might look like the Jedi of old. Some of them might be a little darker. Like, I think Ron said it earlier, it's a big galaxy, and they could have chosen to just do their own thing or have no idea, right? They go like full on early Jedi stuff, they're totally closed off probably, you know? So I think that would be cool, of like where they came from, but I think it would be a good opportunity for them if Starfighter is our jumping off point to this era. If, like you guys were saying, maybe at the end there's like a reference to, what Rey's doing and how they relate to it. I can't imagine, like I don't see a world where they'll just have her have a totally functional huge Jedi temple in 5 years. But maybe she's starting it and maybe has some people that we know, right? Like Finn, not Finn Gray, the actor, but our Finn from the sequels, like maybe being a halfway Jedi sort of thing. I don't know. So I think it would be a good opportunity as a sort of like, especially for casual fans, even if it's at the end, to sort of like bridge the gap to where we're going with a sequel adjacent thing, and Rey would be a good thing. I kind of rambled, lost my train of thought. I forgot what the question is. But
no, I like that. I when you were talking, it made me think of Mandalorians, because you were saying how like different Jedi, if they were Old Republic Jedi, or they were the original Jedi, or they were the Jedi of the prequel trilogy, or Luke's Jedi, they all have very similar views but different variations of it. And the Mandalorians were at a constant civil war for thousands of years just because each different clan had a slightly different variation of what it was to be a Mandalorian. So what we could be seeing in the post-sequel world is just that, but with the Jedi, where there's different groups of them that all believe different things. I like that a lot. That would be really cool.
And it kind of like, I don't think we'll get a lot of this in Starfighter. I think some will be necessary, but like the way the galaxy looks post Rise is going to be like pretty different in general, right? We don't have a republic or an empire, right? Like we don't I guess in the events of the Mandoverse, like Hutts were weakened prior to the sequel. Like the way the galaxy looks would be very similar to how we're speculating the Jedi could look, right? And different sects of them could be like supportive of different regimes or whatever. Some of them might do the right thing, i.e., maybe Rey being like, maybe we don't do that for once, you know. And so I think it would make an interesting like subplot for that side of things in the future. How much we get of that in Starfighter, I don't know, but I don't know. I think particularly the adult Jedi in this, if these leaks are true, like I see them coming from somewhere else, or like bombshell that it's Luke, you know, like Luke people who were gone or got out, or if it's true that a group of them helped Ben do it, then you know they could be dealing with some stuff, i.e., Cade. If they're gonna go like it's not Cade Skywalker, but it's basically the placeholder version of him as this cool new character. What an interesting wrinkle it would be if he feels disgraced because he is one of those people who helped
that would be interesting.
blow it all up, you know, and went on to be what Cade Skywalker does, which is basically like force sensitive Han Solo and is repressive of, you know, his past life and his, you know,
I like that.
kind of
I do like the idea that, well, there's 10,000 Jedi in Order 66, killed all of them except for a handful. So it's 99% effective. Well, even if you had, let's say Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple for a round number, it's 98%, whatever. For a round number, Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple has 100 people. Well, even if it's 90% effective, there's still 10 Jedi roaming around the galaxy. Or if it's 98%, there's still Amy Adams and Aaron Pierre, possibly. Maybe they weren't on world. Maybe this, like, we have no idea. I guess the question that comes up then is, if Amy Adams is a part of any Jedi Order, then why does she have a child?
right. Well, again, like their views could be different, you know. I'm not even sold that this Cade character is her like actual brother. That could be like different
cousins. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like that could be like this other Jedi group's lingo of like they call each other brother and sister. You know, like it could be.
Yeah.
It's weird that. I don't know. But to your point, like there's not only the survivors of stuff, like the survivors of Order 66 or the survivors of Luke's thing, but then there's like the branches out, like how many Jod Nawoods are there who like didn't quit and like went and did their own thing, or you know how many Balin skulls and Shin Hati, like it sprouts off from Shin Hati too if she survives, and you know those sort of people. So and we've had like 50, 60 years of pressure cooking all these different groups that might exist. So
yeah, because the question is, well, where's Grogu in the post sequels? Well, where is Cal Kestis and the Bode's daughter or whatever? Where are they? Where's Asajj Ventress and her new apprentice? Like there is a ton of different Force users who are off doing their own thing. Balin Skoll, of course, as well. But I guess the more interesting one would be Mia Goth then. Like, where does she come from? If she's a bad guy, if she's probably not a Sith, but nonetheless, she's a bad guy. Where the heck did she get her training from? Where did she come from? Is she also from Luke's Jedi Temple? Is she also just from somewhere else? That, I guess, is going to be more interesting. And I know I brought this up earlier, but I got to bring it up again. Cade Skywalker is the exact same legacy comic run that has Darth Talon in it. So the same timeline that brings in Cade Skywalker has Darth Talon, and now we got Devon Izara, who's practically our canon version of Darth Talon without the name. And now you're getting a Ryan Gosling playing a character named Cade. Coincidence? I hope not. And it could still lead to our previous theory of Mia Goth playing Darth Talon.
Well, and I agree with all that, but I want to bring this up as well. So, the David loves Star Wars. Why couldn't she have children? Leia had children. Well, Leia wasn't, as far as I know, Leia wasn't really a Jedi. She wasn't brought up without attachments. I mean, she married Han. So they didn't have those rules for her, even though she was force sensitive and obviously very force sensitive because of who her father was. But I think that with Mara Jade, it could be the same way. That this was over. She was a Jedi. Maybe she did. You know, if they bring her in with the Legends background, where she was part of Palpatine, and then she, marries Luke, that stuff could be sort of thrown out the window because she's not a Jedi. And I think this is the same with Leia.
Yeah, and I think people have to realize too, like it's been said before in Star Wars, like their ancient religion. And if you look at the Jedi like a religion, there's religions where they don't allow children, and then there's same religions that are very similar that do. So if you think about it, like these new temples are going to be evolved or derived from the original one. They're not going to be the same because hopefully they see the flaws in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we already know like Luke kind of went that way and didn't work out, right? Like,
Luke is already open to that concept. Not that he obviously is going to have attachments himself, so to speak, but instead of just like telling Grogu he can't have attachments and that's that, like he's just forcing him out of it, he gives him the option, and Grogu obviously chooses to go with Din Djarin. But it's not like the old Jedi way where they'd just be like, forget about your attachment, leave it all behind. Like Luke's not like that. And Leia does not join Luke anyway. So Leia's a Force wielder, but she's not like training to be a Jedi currently.
It's this is pretty good. I don't think so. They really don't have anything right now. So it's sort of a free for all.
We don't really have one during the sequels either after Starkiller Base, because First Order is not really governing. They're just like a big ass military, that's like taking over stuff, but they don't really seem to have a idea other than conquest. And so if they're gone, I don't know, it looks like more of like actual freedom around there, but a lot of opportunity for bad guys like Matt Smith, tons of opportunity actually.
Yeah, warlords, for sure. I just don't know, because the Republic obviously helped so many worlds we see in the prequel trilogy, at least. And without that, like, what's going to happen? And yes, you're going to see the rise of different crime syndicates and all that. And how are they going to build the government back from nothing? Like, it's not just that, sure, they can go back to Coruscant because it wasn't blown up, but
why can't they just have small governments in each planet govern themselves? Maybe we want small government.
Well, that's what's going to happen. There's no other option, because there's billions of the government planets in the Force Awakens. People died with Starkiller Base, so there's definitely going to. At 5 years later, there's not enough time. There's no way there's going to be a full-fledged government.
Well, and we even see that when you have ruling governments in there, where out on the Outer Rim, it's like, that don't mean shit out here. I don't care who you are, Jedi, Sith, or you're the Republic, or you're the Empire. We don't care. We're out here doing our own thing. So thanks anyways. But no, that was a great question, Freezy. 23, 24.
I could see it being more of like different sets of alliances around, but like they govern themselves, like systems govern themselves, but they, maybe the biggest alliance is like over a handful of years. By the time we get to Starfighter, we've identified like which groups or which planetary systems were pro going to Exegol and routing out the final order and like going around and getting rid of it. And they're all like, I don't know, it's like maybe NATO. Like NATO doesn't govern anybody, but it's like kind of agreed upon thing, or the UN adjacent. And so I could see that. I think it'd be really hard, and I actually don't want them to like do a Republic 3, right?
Yeah. The
newest Republic. And this time it's going to work. I think it'd be more interesting to make it kind of weird and cause some problems.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have people trying to, like Poe Dameron and stuff, like trying to, maybe they go back to Coruscant, we don't know, but like they're gonna have a couple planets under their reign, and that's it. But for an entire galaxy wide, there's no way.
Mm-hmm. I think go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the main. I think like the main good guys that a lot of people would follow is like what's left of the leadership of the resistance, right? Like they know how to lead, they know how to do stuff, but at the end of the day, like if Poe's a general, he's not a politician. He's not like a public servant. He's, so I could see the resistance just being like the police kind of. Kind of actually doing the job the Jedi do in the prequels, right? Like, we're not affiliated with government, but like we'll help out the good guys, and then Rey could be kind of working on her thing, and there becomes some tension about like how they help each other,
Wait, can you bring up Papa Boz's latest message? I think this answers all our questions. Supreme Leader.
Oh. That one?
Supreme Chancellor Chewbacca.
Yes,
there you have it.
There we go.
I'm all chewied up today. Let's go.
The Chancellor of the New Republic, Chewbacca.
That would be awesome.
But I mean, honestly, though, I hope we do see Chewie, because he's still kicking it. And I mean, how can you tell a story in the post sequels with Rey and Finn and Poe and not have Chewie and R2 and C-3PO also in that story?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, and that's what I wanted to switch it just a little, but stay on this is I know they secretly try to get people in and out and do different things, but if we're going to have Starfighter 5 years after 9, then they're going to start with this or continue with this new saga. Is Grogu going to be in here somewhere? Because if he's the new, maybe not main character, but he's one of the new main characters, do we bring him in? Because he's easy to bring in. He's easy to put in a box and bring him on set and use him here and there and do different things. For Poe Dameron or Isaac to walk up into Star Wars and start shooting, it's a little more obvious for this grown person to walk in and do some lines or do some acting or whatever. But you could bring in, this puppet, and because and maybe it's a little bit bigger. Maybe we get to see Grogu, Yoda size or almost Yoda size, which would be awesome, because he's definitely going to be part of this new saga. I would imagine they're not just going to sort of end this. So do we get somebody like Grogu that's going to have that, or is that towards the end when Rey's got her thing going on and there's Grogu and then we see Finn waving in the corner, something like that? But are we going to have any of these characters in this? Because this is a perfect time for them. Finn's not, they're only 5 years older. So like you said, Mike, what is, so Rey's 25 now, so these characters coming into this should not be shocking anybody. If we see Rey or Finn or Poe, that you should not be shocked at that, because this is going to be that same era. And I think this is going to be part of that same saga, is you're going to bring some of these characters back into this. Along with Dave's movie that hopefully we'll get for the Mandoverse. But that's the confusing part for me. is when they talk about, oh, okay, we're going to do a movie a year and 2 other projects, but we're doing this new saga.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's this new saga starting and ending? And is it going to be a new saga, but it's still part of the old saga?
Yeah. Yeah, those are all great questions. Grogu, I don't know how they're going to use Grogu. Honestly, I have no idea. It seems like we won't see Grogu in the post sequels until we know what happens to him before the sequels, like what happens with him and Din and all that. Until that story is fleshed out, so I can imagine not seeing Grogu for the foreseeable future in the post sequels until we figure out what happens to him. And if you're not seeing, because right now he's a Mandalorian, people assume that he's just going to go back to being a Jedi when Din dies. I don't think so. So if we're not seeing the Mandalorians in the post sequels, then we likely won't see Grogu until that happens. But I think they will finish off the story before the sequels, before they bring us Grogu in the post sequels. Other characters that could appear, absolutely, but in Starfighter specifically, I think Rey's the only option. Maybe Finn, but Rey would be the only option.
Rose.
Yeah. If you want the movie to make $4 billion.
I do.
No, I agree with that, and you make a good point with that. That we don't sort of know what he is, and yet as a grown Grogu, we don't even know his species. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Where he might not be, he is still Mandalorian, for the most part with Jedi powers.
I think
at this point.
I think good point that Mike made as well is that like we still seem to have a lot of stuff coming in the Mandoverse, which is like Grogu's bread and butter. And I agree they wouldn't show him in the new stuff until we're rounded out with him there, because you need a little attention. Same but then I also see them like, I don't know, I think it hits harder if he like pops into Dave's movie. Like if Dave's movie's about other things or pops into I don't think he will, but like if he popped into Ahsoka season 2, like there's some big huge finale that's our first like real big wrapping up of the Mandoverse, that would make sense. I think I don't, as much as they use him, I don't think they'd just like throw him into Starfighter or the new trilogy like right away. I think they would flesh out the Mandoverse first. But like Ron, like you said, you can get away with putting him on screen because you don't have to sign a contract to anybody or have him come into the building, right? Like you got the puppet there and you can do it and without anybody knowing, which is what, not to deviate a ton, but it's so weird to me that it feels like we know more about Starfighter than we did about Mando and Grogu, like the day before Mando and Grogu came out. Does that seem kind of strange?
It does, but I honestly feel like that's on purpose because we don't know anything about this movie or the characters going in. Right. With Din and Grogu, we've had so much backstory with them. With this movie, we don't. So it could be purposeful leaks. Like the where this leak is coming from, or the initial leak that we're talking about with all of the Ryan Gosling's name is Cade. There's a Jedi Temple. Aaron Pierre versus Mia Goth. All of that is coming from a source making Star Wars. .net, who has not tweeted about Star Wars in over 2 years. So this at 2 years ago was one of the best, most reliable sources in the industry, like almost always spot on with everything for years and years with all the leaks. Took 2 years off and then comes back with this just bombshell of Starfighter news. So you kind of start to think maybe that's on purpose to get people hyped up for this film. If people start talking about this, then it'll gain traction still 10 months in advance. But yeah, we know, or if these leaks are true, we know way more about this movie than we ever did with The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we still don't know anything about this movie.
Yes, we assume that we're putting the pieces together, but we could all be wrong, as we never are, of course.
Right.
I did find a different from a different source to add on to this, because now, as soon as the Making Star Wars thing came out, a bunch of other people were like, "Yeah, I've heard this too, and this too, and this too." One of the other ones, though, coming from another very reliable source, was Amy Adams has a couple of scenes in Starfighter that aren't, in all caps, ARENT, or apostrophe T, aren't at the beginning of the film. So, still assuming that she dies at the beginning of the movie and hands her lightsaber to Flynn Gray, says, "Go find your uncle." There will be sort of Master Indara, Carrie Ann Moss type acolyte, hopefully flashbacks, of Amy Adams later on in the movie. So wherever this character comes from, we might actually get flashbacks to explain that, which would be great. Because hopefully she's from Luke's Jedi Temple and she's Mara Jade.
Yeah. Well, and even Max said Force Ghost Mara Jade, but I think, like you had said, and probably I'm sure on your podcast, is the Force Ghost thing has to be presented in a much larger way for people to understand, I think. And I think that's where the hard part would be, for especially if it's even though if it is Mara Jade, she comes back, and she is Flynn's mother. Yes, he has that connection with her, but I don't think he's going to be using his Force powers or get become a Jedi, so to speak, in one movie, where that he would be able to connect with his mother through the Force as a Force ghost. So I think that puts into perspective what we're going to see is probably flashbacks in reference to hopefully something before, whether it's with Luke's temple or something like that, where we could get more of a backstory for her. Because like you had said, Mike, we're not going to bring in Amy Adams. She's going to be there for 2 minutes and then she dies and then we're done. It's going to be that, Adaria scene where she dies, but we still get to see her in action later on in the movie, which would be amazing if she is Mara Jade.
Yeah. I mean, if the opening scene of this movie is a lightsaber duel and the lightsabers are red and purple and the hilt is Mara Jade's, like, $2 billion. Too easy. Too easy.
This is where the fun begins.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
That would be wild.
What else? Ahsoka news.
Yeah, so as Nick started talking about Ahsoka, I really wanted to pivot to Ahsoka for a second. But now I don't remember why. My brain is not functioning tonight, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But Ahsoka news, we do have some. The score for the second season has been finished. Kiner music is done, which seems very early. If we're talking, this show doesn't come out for another maybe 8 months. But it does seem like even though production has been delayed till 2027, it's not that like it was because they needed to do pickups or anything of that sort. It mostly seems like it's just a visual effects thing, because this second season is going to be way bigger in terms of battles and in a war in our Star Wars, and who knows what's going on with the Mortis gods, that they just need more time. And that's, I guess, perfectly fine with me, even though I'm not the most patient person in the world. So not a lot on the Ahsoka season 2 front, unless I can remember what I was thinking when Nick was talking. But yeah, Ahsoka season 2 is still going to be just as mind-blowing. Oh, you were talking about Grogu appearing in certain things. The possibility of seeing, like, this Ahsoka season 2 is still going to be the setup for Dave's movie. Still going to be the setup for the whole crossover of the Mandoverse stuff. And the only crossover up until this point that we've had is Ahsoka being in The Mandalorian season 2, and then Boba Fett being in The Mandalorian season 2, and then Din and Grogu going over to Boba Fett. That's it. So the idea that there's one connective piece in all of this, in every Star Wars Mandoverse project, and that is Carson Teva. The idea that the New Republic could attack Dathomir right away to get ahead of the whole Thrawn thing, but it's sort of Akbar and Hera and Carson Teva and those people. The idea that they will lose, Thrawn will win, the remnant of the Empire will come in and they'll be like, oh my God, we didn't know the Empire was this powerful. Pelion will come in and save the day. And then they're like, what do we do now? And Carson Teva, they will not get the funding from the New Republic because they're stupid and dumb. Carson Teva goes, I know some Mandalorian friends. And then you get the do, and then it's a setup for the next movie. That's really what I was thinking. No Grogu in the movie, but the theme would work.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Because Carson Teva was just in the movie,
Mhm.
and he's going to be in Ahsoka season 2, so he's
Yeah.
the connective piece.
Yeah, and that's the cool part about that, I think, because it's not like he's this huge character in there.
No,
He's just this one little cog, but he sort of makes this whole thing, turn gears. And that's the cool part about this. And again, like I said earlier, it's a slow burn for Dave. He wants to bring in a little bit at a time, a little bit more, and give us this information on these different characters and what's going on in the universe. And yeah, I think Ahsoka is going to be a huge connection to all of that stuff. And hopefully that last 5 or 10 minutes of the 8th episode is just going to be filling us with what's coming next, with Mandalorian and Grogu and Bo-Katan and all of these different characters that are in the Mandoverse and Boba Fett and things like that, where we'll be able to see what's going on and what's to come in this Mandoverse movies.
yeah.
But it's going to be, what it'll probably be 3 years before we see a Dave movie, maybe 2. I would guess he has, his whiteboard and his sticky Post-it notes up, and he's pretty much got it all,
Well,
in his mind and written, but putting it into production.
That does beg the question, though, with Starfighter coming out next year, what's the year after? Because if we're getting a movie a year and 2 shows, well, what's 2028's movie? Because that will likely have to start filming this year, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. So if you have one coming out next year, it's not coming out, or in 28. I mean, it's not going to come out at the beginning of 28. It's going to have to come out same time, May or April, or possibly even further down the line. Because if you look at it, most of these movies are taking 1.5 to 2 years to make and edit and put all the music together and stuff like that. And we already have one. We're in July of 26. 27 is the next movie. So, what's to come in 28? And hopefully go ahead.
I can see a Christmas of 28 getting back in that December. It gives them plenty of time, especially if it's a Heir to the Empire movie or something,
Yeah. Well, because Starfighter filmed like late last year, probably fall into winter, it ended in around December. And Mando did the same thing. It was like maybe July or August until September, or December, till the end of the year. So if that's going to continue with that pattern and we're going to get a May release in 2028, then it would have to start filming like next month. And we have no idea what that movie would even be. Maybe they are, and we just don't know it yet. But I feel like we would have heard something about it by now, and we haven't. So it does not look like
that could be an announcement at D23 too. I mean, I know
that would be crazy.
Huge announcement for them. And even if they could say, hey, listen, these are the 2 or 3 movies that we're thinking about doing, or we're going to get ready to start production on, then that way they have a couple. Unfortunately, if they say, oh, well, we're not going to do this one anymore, but they have something in the pipeline, they throw it down, give it to us, so we have an idea of what's going on. And then I think next year we're going to get a lot more information at Star Wars Celebration on sort of what the future of Star Wars is, for sure. I think that's when they're going to come out and just lay it all on the line and say, this is what we have the next several years for Star Wars, whether it's going to be, a whole bunch of different projects. These are the next 3 movies or whatever the case may be, because I don't think we're going to get Dave's trilogy all in a row. I don't think we're going to get all 3 of Dave's movies without getting something else in between, whether it's a Rey movie or something else.
It would be nice if we were getting every other year Heir to the Empire trilogy movie, and then the in-between years a Simon Kinberg post-sequels trilogy. It was just like one trilogy, 1 year, the next trilogy, the next year, back to the first trilogy, back to the next trilogy, just back and forth for, I guess, 6 years. But that would mean that Dave would have to start filming his movie very quickly, which I guess is not impossible. I don't know. Obviously, he's very hands-on with the post-production of Ahsoka Season 2, but it's not like he has to be there all the time. In theory, he could have already written the entire script for this Heir to the Empire movie and because they announced his movie 3 years ago, or more than 3 years ago. So the script may be done, and he could start filming that movie this fall for all intents and purposes. Because Ahsoka's been done filming for 10 months now, like a long time. So they could be in pre-production for the next thing. We just don't know about it yet.
Get your tinfoil hats on, because it seems to me mighty convenient for Star Wars to like allow such huge leaks of a brand new movie to come out that we're thinking about like coming up now. What do you think the odds are that we are getting like Starfighter leaks and Ahsoka coming out and Star Wars Celebration, and all underneath it, they've been working on a lot of other stuff? I mean, how many times has that happened in our time doing this, where they announced that Hunt for Ben Solo is a perfect example. Like that whole thing, total secret, and
they worked on that for 3 years and we didn't know.
All but greenlit, right? Like paid for, all that stuff. So, it'd be tough. It'd be a tough sell to tell the people like, no, dude, they're just keeping Dave's movie a secret. But they can do it. They've proven that they can do it. And it is also very much out of character if these leaks are true for all that to get out, seems almost like on purpose. There's like a sports talk thing about like if news leaks in the NFL, it was on purpose, right? Like it's to make deals happen or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't see Lucasfilm like allowing, unless Sean Levy's like, this is just how I do it. I build hype, and they're like, cool, that's fine. But
I don't think so. Well, Sean Levy directed Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine, like any Marvel project, was so no leaks get out for that stuff. None, unless they want you to know, like you were just saying. To that point, though, another example is Maul Shadowlord. Before Maul Shadowlord was announced, they were working on it for over a year, and we didn't know. Like you had Vanessa Marshall and Sam Witwer, all of them in the booth recording, and we had no idea for over a year. So it's very possible they could be working on stuff right now that we don't know about. Like we have no idea.
We probably interviewed Vanessa Marshall the first time when they were like pretty much done with Maul, right? Or like she had probably already done Maul.
She probably
the first time.
Done work on it for sure.
Yes, because when I had her on when we had her on the first time, and we actually talked about that in the interview that Mike and I did, and when I had contacted her to try to get her to come on, she couldn't for a while because she had just gotten a new role, and she's like, I have the role of a lifetime.
That's right. Yeah,
is what she told me, and then so we had to wait till afterwards, and then I figured as it came along, and then once they announced her as Rook cast, it was a lot. It was like, oh, ding, 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 ding. There's the light, and she was able to talk about it then, which was cool. So, I mean, like Mike said, and that's what I was going to say exactly, is we didn't have any idea, and then they were doing it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we talk about it, and all these other hundreds of podcasters and content creators and fans and all this social media, none of that stuff comes out. Same with the tales.
Yeah.
The tales are like, oh, hey, we got a new animation next week. And we're all like, what?
Yeah. And the filming stuff too. Like we didn't get a single set photo leak from Mando and Grogu or Starfighter. The entire production and the entire filming session, we didn't get a single set photo leak of either one. The only photos that we got were Sean Levy posting them to his own Instagram. Like that was it. And the only reason we know that Tom Cruise was on set was because Sean Levy told us. Like he flew in a helicopter and filmed a lightsaber duel. The only reason we know that is because the director told us. We would have no idea. So, and these leaks are only coming out now because I think they want us to know and they're building up hype, but also because this movie is 10 months away. This trailer is probably a month away. It's getting a lot closer than 2028's movie. And it's very well possible that they could be filming something right now that's a show or a movie or both, and we just don't know.
Yeah. And I'm going to backpedal a little bit, but like for Dave's movie, or, if we're assuming it's the Heir to the Empire type thing, like talk about slow burn, Ron. Like he's a master of slow burn, right? Like he wants to. That's why we have all these shows, kind of like building the whole thing.
Yep.
And even then, in Ahsoka, we're kind of like, because we're excited for it, we're thinking about Ahsoka like it's Heir to the Empire. Name of the show is Ahsoka. Like her whole story is probably going to be like minimum 60% of the season, right? Because we think it might be like close to half and half, like war over here and Ahsoka's thing. But if this is the last Ahsoka ride, like forever, then like we might not be like as close to Heir to the Empire, single movie as we think we are, in which case it might necessitate more than one movie or another series, that sort of thing. Because I just really doubt that it's going to be like Thrawn set up in Ahsoka, one movie and it's done, right? Like I don't think that's it. That doesn't read like Dave Filoni to me. So I agree. Like whatever the logic would imply that they are working on something that we have no idea about, because he's not just going to like take his movie and finish it, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I always go back to like leaks we got last year about Jude Law and how he's going to be in like multiple projects coming up for Star Wars, and I'm like, Jod Nowwood is nowhere close to Ahsoka season 2 or any of the Heir to the Empire stuff. I guess he's technically still on Atten last we saw him, but if that's believed to be true, and I don't really remember because it was so long ago, but if I was talking about it, it probably came from some pretty reliable sources that Jude Law is going to be in some Star Wars projects coming up here. And if that's the case, then we could be looking at Skeleton Crew season 2. We could be looking at Jod and the kids being involved in this Heir to the Empire stuff. It's going to be a lot more content than we think, because just 2 weeks ago, we got the leak about the new saga. But along with that was that the majority, if not all, of the live action and animated shows from Maul, Shadowlord, and beyond are going to take place in the New Republic. So if you're going to get more live action shows in the New Republic, what is that? Is it going to be Book of Boba Fett season 2, Mando season 4, Skeleton Crew season 2, or something else?
Well, and that just, I was thinking about this the other day, and it's funny you say that. Do we get to see Samuel L. Jackson in a live action? Because he's done the movies, but he's also done some of the Marvel live action stuff as well. So do we get a live action of him? That could be a cool story, because I don't know if they're going to go back and do Boba Fett season 2. Are they going to do a Skeleton Crew season 2? If they do, awesome. But there's also so many other things. Just, when Derek brought it up earlier about Mace, is to have him do something like that, or have Disney and Star Wars and Lucasfilm do something like that would be awesome. And I think that could bring a lot of people in as well when they see Samuel L. Jackson coming into this. And then if you want to, you can make it rated R, because all he does is motherfuck everybody. So
yeah. Well, I don't think they'll bring back Samuel L. Jackson at this point. Maybe. I mean, it would be wild. Never say never. They brought back Liam Neeson, but who knows? Having said that, I do think that you're going to get more of those types of things happening, like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen in Ahsoka season 2, or I guess Book of Boba Fett season 2 could maybe have Kira in the Crimson Dawn. Like, you're going to get more references and connections to older characters, or I guess legacy characters in the Mandoverse. Absolutely. Cal Kestis has to show up at some point. Omega has to show up at some point. There is so much more story to be told, and just like Nick said, there's no way you can cover all that in one movie. There is zero chance. You need shows and movies and shows and movies. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, and like Nick said too, is if we're gonna end Ahsoka, what else? What's coming next, and how are we going to get into these different things as we move forward? So we have to have some sort of story to go along with these, and some sort of background that they're going to fill in, so we understand what's going on. Because if not, then you're really going to start pissing people off. Well, yeah, and I don't think that they're going to do that.
Yeah, in the chat, I mean, everybody keeps saying they want Neil, but like really talking about it, they have to do something with that Atten. They left it way too open, and they don't do anything by accident. So the fact that like it is that open, they're gonna use it.
Yes.
But I hope they do it with more Skeleton Crew stuff. I want it. We all want it.
Neil. Yeah, for sure. But to that point too, like you're gonna have to make new shows. Like you can't just make Book of Boba Fett season 2, Skeleton Crew season 2, and then just be done with it. There's 25-ish years to go here, and I'm not even just talking about like a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show because that would be awesome. But maybe like something like Rangers of the New Republic or something else. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if come next year at Star Wars Celebration, we're met with like the next Skeleton Crew, something we just never could have possibly imagined, and we don't know what it's going to be. Because Skeleton Crew was just that. We were like, what the hell is this? John Watts, Star Wars? Cool, but what does this even mean? And I think we're going to get a lot of that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like what kind of announcement? Sorry if you've already talked about it, but what kind of announcements at D23? Like, would they? Is that more like to pump up investors and then say like we're going to get really into it at Celebration next year at the 50-year of Star Wars? Like, will they?
Yeah, as the Disney expert here, I don't foresee a lot of Star Wars announcements happening at D23, especially like the last one. Everybody was really waiting for some big ones, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's usually going to be park related, and it's going to have to make a big splash because this will be Josh D'Amaro's first D23 as the new president. And it's going to have to be park related. Park attendance is down 1%. And you might be like, oh, that's nothing. But 1% of $2 billion.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I think, at least from the leaks, we're going to get a Starfighter trailer and an Ahsoka trailer. The Ahsoka trailer is probably not going to be released publicly. I'm sure it'll be leaked out regardless. But yeah, I think that's about it. There's not going to be any new stuff announced at
We'll
D23.
probably see some more about the video games that are coming out. But yeah, we're not really going to get a lot of D23. D23 is going to be very heavy on parks this year because there's so many projects that are in the process and about to start. They'll probably announce some Disney movies, but it's not going to be Star Wars, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, and I think like and you have all the Marvel stuff and everything else Disney has. So you'll probably get a couple more, Marvel trailers, which would be cool. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we'll get some Ahsoka news, we'll get or a trailer, private or not. And same with Starfighter. And those are because right now, besides Maul Shuttle, we might get a little bit on that. But right now, those are the only two things that we know of that are either in production or finished production and are coming out. And if possible, maybe they do announce something, or they say, hey, in Star Wars Celebration, this is what we're going to announce. But I think Star Wars Celebration is where we're going to get a lot of information next year, especially with like Derek was saying about the new CEO for Disney. Now we have two new co-presidents in Star Wars, so in Lucasfilm. So that's going to be the big hype. It's going to be the big, hey, this is what we got coming the next few years. And I think it's going to be, and not taking anything away from Kathleen Kennedy, but I think when Dave comes out and talks about these things, most of us are going to be like, okay, we believe Dave,
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. He's definitely got the fan vote, I guess. However, I will say the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer came out like mid-September of last year, the first official one. And then we didn't get anything Mando related until the Super Bowl. But either way, September, I mean, the Starfighter trailer coming out in August is not far-fetched at all.
No, and I think, like you said, everything that's going on with Disney and Star Wars and Ryan Gosling, we're gonna see a lot more, I think, sooner, because they're gonna put the hype up for this because of him. Even as much as we all thought Mandalorian and Grogu was gonna be hyped, which obviously it wasn't as much as as we thought, and it didn't bring in what Derek and I thought, but it wasn't as marketed, I don't think, as well as it should have been. I think if they would have started a little bit earlier, you might get some more talk about it. You might get that snowball, a little bit bigger as it rolls down the hill, and you have a 6 months or 8 months or 9 months to hype it up and show different things. So I think that if we get this trailer, then it becomes public into August, then yeah, definitely as we get into the next year, probably around Christmas time, we'll get hopefully another trailer. And then I'm sure, like they did, we'll have the little 30-second things on social media, that switch it up and, change this character to that character or whatever. But then next year, I think we'll have 3 trailers for this before it even comes out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Easily. I think, yeah, when it comes close to it, you get all those like trailers daily, pretty much, the 30-second ones at least.
Every hour.
Yeah, literally at that point. But more important, or more, I guess, importantly, would be Ahsoka Season 2 at D23, because a Star Wars movie is marketed very differently than a show, and it's still very far out from Ahsoka Season 2. So even if it's released to the people there and not publicly, we'll get a description or we'll get leaked footage. And either way, whatever is shown is going to be crazy, because Ahsoka Season 2 is going to be crazy. But
Derek, would they at least, like at D23, confirm without saying like some of the rumors about the plan we're talking about? Like, we're going to do a movie, we have X amount of movies in production, but not say anything about it. Is D23 the place for that? Or would they just hold off till Celebration, just be like, bam?
Yeah, they'll probably wait till Celebration. The only thing I could potentially see them doing with the backlash of the ticket debacle of Celebration was maybe give people something, but I don't know. I mean, at the very most, we might see some more rebranding. What I will say that I think we're going to get is the deletion of the timeline at Disney World, because they've already done Disneyland. It's super successful. I could see that hopefully going away. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet, but they usually are a little bit slower with Disney World versus Land. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get anything like that. They're going to save a lot of that for Celebration. I think the only thing that we'll get is probably something in Galaxy's Edge about, if they're going to do some changes or add some stuff. But even that, they've already kind of done that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
yeah, I'm just looking back. I found this article that was like D23 2025. And pretty much, at least, maybe this is only Pixar, I don't know. But Pixar came out and gave the announcement of Ice Age, the next Ice Age movie, which comes out next February. Then they unveiled a sneak peek at Toy Story 5. They unveiled a sneak peek or preview trailer for Hoppers, which came out earlier this year. So at least for the Pixar side of things, let me see if I can find the Star Wars side of things. But for the Pixar side of things, they got trailers, they got announcements last year at T23. I remember, for Star Wars there wasn't much, but
yeah. Well, and they're just so big nowadays. They have everything. So they're going to be, here's some Star Wars stuff, and then move on to the next one. Here's Marvel, and then, like you said, Pixar or stuff like that. But yeah, and those are the 2 that are in production right now. Maybe we'll get a little bit of them all, but I think those 2 are the biggest things that we'll see. And then next in Celebration, I think it's just going to blow up, which will be fun.
So it says that D23 last year gave the people in attendance a exclusive early look at The Mandalorian and Grogu. So that wasn't released publicly, obviously.
That could be Ahsoka this year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then just drop Starfighter. Because I really think you have to drop it right now publicly because of Ryan Gosling.
Well, you're also not that far out from when you just released the Mando one last year. Like September was it. That means that at least before September, you're going to have to release this one too. You've already set the stage, and you got to stick to it.
And it's middle of August, right?
Yeah.
and it's a different time now in a much different context, but you know, the return of Star Wars in live action with The Force Awakens, that teaser trailer came out like the fall before, like a year and a
Yeah.
half in
Yeah.
advance, you know, with sort of like knowing nothing about it, and then would give little bits and pieces, very similar descriptions, might I add, as for the characters in the teaser trailer of The Force Awakens as this leak says about Starfighter, right? It's
Yeah.
like kind of vague. They gave us names. They gave us like very vague backstories. And then we sat with it for a year, you know, or however long it was, and speculated on all of it. So it seems like it's right on time.
Yeah, there was also a Lucasfilm something or other that was at D23s in the past that went away and now is coming back this year. It was called like Lucasfilm something. I forget. But yeah, I can't find it. But either way, so it does look like Lucasfilm's going to have a bigger presence, I guess, this year than they did last year, even. Probably because of the movie.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Whew. We're almost at 2 hours, so this is a good one. I like these cool leaks that are coming out, and rumors are just again our fun predictions to figure out and think what we're gonna see next year, and we're able to talk about it. But I think some of these leaks, like we were talking about, have been put out there so that we do talk about it, and we do start to get this ball rolling. And we got a little over a month before D23, so it'll be fun to see what they have come out for that, and hopefully we'll get a trailer out of that. But make sure you check out Mike's podcast tomorrow, 2:00. A guy who loves Star Wars. And yeah, if you haven't, go back and check out Mike's video about all these leaks as well. He goes into a little bit more depth and what's going on in this. And if you haven't already, go check his verses and his other new shorts that are coming out. They're pretty good. They're fun to figure out. Go ahead.
I do want to say something before we get out of here, because going back to the Starfighter stuff, somebody tweeted out, this is actually pretty genius. What if Ryan Gosling's name, Cade, what if his full name is just Cade Starfighter? Skywalker, Starfighter, Starkiller. Like,
Yeah,
why not?
it, yeah.
It's Cade Filoni.
There you go.
But thank everybody that's on here. Thank you guys so much. The guys in the UK, I know it's early in the morning, so thank you guys. I appreciate it. 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, you guys staying on here, chatting with us. I see you guys in the chat. I know we didn't get to a lot of chat this week because we were so excited about these leaks for Starfighter. So stay with us. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Check Mike out tomorrow, Thursday, and Saturday. A guy who loves Star Wars. So until then, may the Force be with you, and thank you guys so much for being with us. So see you, boys. Thanks again.